Harish, you're a survivor of child sexual abuse. This is triggering for anybody who's actually gone through this. And I know your story well, but there might be people who don't. How old were you when you were abused? Did it take place within the circle of trust, as it often does?
It was my uncle who sexually assaulted me. I was 7 years of age, and it started with touching, and then it was penetrative assault. And many a times I have been sexually assaulted with my clothes on. The problem that I have, Barkha, with this particular verdict is, what if they use Section 3, IPC 354, which speaks about outraging the modesty of a woman, when actually it's a child, it's not a woman. What if it was a boy? What section would they have applied if it was, if somebody tried to push themselves anally with their clothes on, and I had
Yeah.
my clothes on? What would have happened then? Would I have no recourse in the law? Would I because and does it mean to say that because I'm a boy, I have no modesty? I mean, it only outrages the modesty of a woman, but it doesn't outrage the modesty of a male child.
Yeah.
So I think in a lot of these aspects, and Barkha, many a times I have been sexually assaulted with my clothes on. I have worn my clothes. I've been lying next to my assaulter, and my assaulter has penetrated me where I didn't wear my clothes. I had my clothes on, and he used to do things to me with my clothes on. So what happens
And
then?
and not to be graphic about this in a voyeuristic way, and you know me long enough, Harish, to know that I will not ask this from any space, but to underline how awful this verdict is. Well before you were penetratively assaulted, as you said, your abuse started with touch and your clothes were on, and it was not skin to skin, but it was assault. And I think it's very important for the judge to understand that. So I want you to just speak to that experience, what you felt at that time, how grotesque you would have felt, how much you would have blamed yourself, how it would have scarred you, how you would have felt judged, what a child goes through when all of this happens to us.
I hated myself. I didn't look at myself in the mirror. There were times when I looked at myself in the mirror and I wanted to break the mirror. I used to hate. I became an atheist because in the room that I used to get sexually assault, where I used to get raped, it faced a big portrait of Lord Shiva. So I thought that God was watching me and God wasn't doing anything for me. So I was a complete atheist. I used to, in fact, put the book down and I used to stamp on it just to tell people that there's no God. So I used to hate myself, and it took me a lot of time. My sexuality was completely destroyed because I didn't feel like, every time I felt towards any human being, a man or a woman, I used to hate myself because sex by itself became a bad thing for me. So for me to come to terms with my sexuality, I'm happy to be gay, but for me to come out and say that I'm gay, I blamed my sexual abuse for the longest time. I even after coming out, even within the community, within the LGBT community, people used to tell me, "Oh, this is just because you've been raped." So I so it destroyed me completely, and there were times when I have looked at myself in the mirror and I've loathed myself. I've hated myself. I have been body conscious. I used to think that there are fluids dripping out of different parts of my body. I used to hate when people look at me from behind. I never could walk properly. I used to walk with my butt wobbling all the time because I was very conscious. I couldn't study well. I couldn't stand up in class well. I couldn't speak to my friends without the fear of being judged. All this it cost me, and this was for what? This was for some person trying to do something with me,
Yeah.
and this
So,
also got aggravated.
and when you hear the judge then talk about clothes on, no skin to skin contact in one sentence, you want to say what to this judge?
I I think she is misogynistic. She
Yeah.
is horrible and insensitive. I mean, there is not a
Yeah.
shred of sensitivity in this judgment.